Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going to finish up the notes from this week, where we're factoring trinomials when the first term has a coefficient of 1, so in front of the x squared or the variable squared is a 1. In the last video we dealt with where the third term was a positive value was just a positive value, but the second term is either a positive or a negative. With the last term being a positive, then you know that the signs were going to be the same on each factor. And then the second term helped us determine if it was positive, negative. Think about that, because positive times a positive gives us a positive, and a negative times a negative gives us a positive. But we can't add two positives together to get a negative, and we can't combine two negatives to get a positive. So that's how we knew if it was a positive situation or a negative situation. With the other half of the notes, the third term is now going to have a negative value. Because of that, then we're going to have factors that have opposite signs. Why is that? Because a positive times a negative gives us a negative value, and our last term in a binomial gave us our last term of our trinomial quadratic. So, if you've already watched the videos already that were uploaded this morning in the lesson plan, they broke down the factors of negative 48, changing the signs of the same two set of factors. For example, they did 1 times negative 48 and then negative 1 times 48. I'm just going to leave them both positive for now. And then we're going to, instead of see the sum, we're going to find the difference between the two. I'll explain the difference situation in just a second. So our factors of just 48 is 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, and 4 times 12. I'm going to stop here for a second. Now, it is a negative 48, and I understand that. So one of these factors will have a negative. To determine that, we're going to look at the second term. Positive 13, so it means the higher number get the positive. So in this case, it'll be positive 48, positive 24, positive 16, positive 12, and then negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So if we did 48 plus negative 1, we would get 47. 24 plus negative 2 would be 22. 16 plus negative 3 would be 13. 12 plus negative 4 give us positive 8. And the reason I say the difference is because if we're adding a positive and a negative, it's the same thing as subtracting. So 48 minus 1, 47. 24 minus 2, 22. 16 minus 3, 13. 12 minus 4, 8. And using it to find the difference will help us, especially if when this sign will be a negative instead of a positive, which we'll get to in the next problem. So this matches up. So our factors are positive 16 and negative 3. To check, we're going to multiply x times x squared, x times negative 3, negative 3x, 16 times x, positive 16x, 16 times negative 3, 8. And we're going to simplify. Negative 3 plus 16, 15x. Sorry, I kind of jumped ahead there. So this matches up. So we're good. Alright, we're going to do the next one. The next one we have n minus 5n minus 24. So our last term is a negative, so that means it tells us then we'll have a positive factor, negative factor. So what are our factors of 24? We have 1 times 24, 2 times 12, times 8, 4 times 6. Right? Now let's just take the difference between each one, and then we'll go about which one gets the sign next. So let's take the difference between the two factors. So 24 minus 1, 23, 12 minus 2, 10, 8 minus 3, 5, 6 minus 4, 2. Now we were looking for a negative 5, so here's our 5. We need to make it a negative. So if we want to have a negative value, the difference of these two, which one would get the negative? So is it going to be negative 8 plus 3 or negative 3 plus 8? Well, if we want a more negative number, we're going to give it to the higher value. When I mean higher value, I mean the higher absolute value. So negative 8 plus 3 is just negative 5. And if it is easier to rewrite these where you're flipping the signs back and forth, that's fine as well. This is just another approach compared to the video that was already posted. Just to check, we're going to multiply, so n times n squared, n times negative 8, negative 8n, 3 times n, 3n, 3 times negative 8, negative 24. Simplify, get n squared minus 5n minus 24. Does it match up? It does, so we're good. Alright, so this one's a little bit different because now we also have a variable at the end. So with something like this, you're still going to have a positive and negative factor looking at your third term. The only difference is instead of it being d plus some number, d minus some number, it's going to be the number in front of g. They'll have a variable with it as well. So now we need to figure out what goes in front of the g. So we still need to think of what are factors of 60, negative 60 to be specific. We have 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15. Stop there. Now you can flip the sign back and forth and see which one has the sum, or you could look at the difference first. So the difference between 60 and 1 will be 59. Difference between 30 and 2 is 28. The difference between 20 and 3 is 17. The difference between 15 and 4 is 11. We were looking for a sum of positive 17. Well, here's our 17, and it's already positive in our case. So which one will get the higher value, the sign? We want a positive 17, so the higher number gets the sign, the plus. So negative 3. So we'll have d plus 20g, d minus 3g. So this will be our answer. And check by multiplying d times d, d squared, d times negative 3g, negative 3g, or I guess they had the d. 3dg. (20g times d), 20dg, and 20 times -3, -60g squared. I know I didn't put the g's when I said 20 times -3, but it's positive 20g, -3g, is -60g. Simplify. Simplify these two right here. We got d squared plus 17g minus 60 squared. Does this match up? It does. So our solution is good. Next one. So we can use a factor table. We have a -20, so we know since it's a negative, we're going to have a positive factor. Factors of 20. And then it's going to add up to be 8. So we're going to have a positive 8. So our higher number will have the positive. So our factors will be 120. So 20 minus 1, 20 plus -1, positive 19 doesn't match up. We have 2 times 10, and it's going to be -2 because it's a positive 8. So -2 plus 10, positive 8. So here's our answer, our factors to use. So -2, positive 8, multiply to check. See that you get the same answer. And again, you can't see which sign to add it onto. When you look at the second one, that's fine. You could still break it down, having factors of -20 add up to be 8. So -1 is 20. So that gives you 19. You tried 2 times -10 first. Saw that gives you -8, and then just known to flip the signs on that to get your answer. That's how it was in the video this morning. Again, use what's best for you. These are just little shortcuts to show you, because understanding that when we're foiling, remember it's first, so that's how we get the m squared. The last term is determined by multiplying 8 times -2. Inside, the second term is determined by adding our outer and inner products, which is 8m and -2m. And I'm sorry, that's not an 8. I just made a mistake. That should be 10. Sorry about that, y'all. Alright, I'm going to do one more, and then I'd like you to try number 14 on your own by just pausing and then starting back up just to look. So we're looking for factors that multiply to give us -40, so we're going to have a positive and negative factor. Our last term was negative, so we're looking for factors -40 that add up to be -3, so the larger number will have the negative. So factors of 40, we have 1 times -40, and I gave it to the larger number, remember, because the greater number is determines this negative part right here. Let's be -9. 2 is -20. 18. Times -10. 6. 5 times -8. -3. our factors. So we have -8, +5. Multiply just to check. Good. The next one I'd like you to pause and try on your own. Remember that you're looking for factors of -56 that add up to be -1. Pause and then play again and see if you can answer. Alright, factors of 56, we have 1 times 56. Negative to the larger value because difference that is negative, or a sum that is negative. So this will be -55. 2 times -28. 26. Have negative. I'm sorry. It's -10. We have 7 times -8 together, -1. So we have our factors. Y minus 8, y plus 7. Multiply to check. Good to go. Just a few more. These I'm going to work out with y'all, except for the last one I want you to pause and try on your own. This one happens to be all positive. Second term. That means then we'll be dealing with 2 positive factors. And then notice at the end, your third term isn't just going to be an integer, it's going to also include a variable, y. Right, so we're looking for factors of 24 that add up to be 11. So factors of 24, we have 1 times 24. You add those together, you get 25. 2 times 12, you add those together, you get 14. And then you got 3 times 8, add those together, and you get 11. Go, here's our factors. So we'll have x plus 3y, x plus 8y. Okay, I know that variable at the end and in the middle may be throwing y'all off, but all we're doing is just tacking that on at the end. Be fine, okay? Because x times x is x squared, x times 8y will be 8xy, 3y times x will be 3xy, 3y times 8y gives us our 24y squared. Combine your xy's. That's an xy, I don't know why my mouse just decided to do that. Damn, they're all y's, I guess I'm just writing too close together. Let's try the next one. So we have a negative third term, positive middle term, so we're going to be dealing with a b positive, w, so a positive and a negative factor. Add the w, because we're dealing with w squared at the end. So what are our factors of 48, specifically -48, that add up to be positive 2. So because it's a positive 2, it's a positive sum. When the signs are inverse of each other, that means we're going to give the positive to the higher value, or greater absolute value. So our factors of 48, we have 1 and 48. And the positive will be 48, the negative 1. Negative 1 plus 48 will be 7. We have 2 and 24, positive 24, negative 2. Add those together, get 22. Negative 3 and 16. Add those together, you get 13. Negative 4, 12. Add those together, get 8, closer. And then we have negative 6 times 8. Add those together, get 2. So here are our factors. So we'll have a net v minus 6w and v plus 8w. We multiply those together, get this as your solution, so our solution is correct. I want you to pause on this next one. I want you to try to figure out what your factors are, but before you do, I'm just going to at least set this portion up. So we're looking, since our last term is negative, we'll be dealing with a positive and a negative set of factors. So we're looking for numbers that multiply to give us 60, but add up to be negative 17. This negative, or the sum, means the larger value gets the negative, so let that help guide you as you answer this question. Pause for right now. Come back to check your answer. Alright, our factors of 60, we have 1 times 60, and we're going to make the larger number negative, so 1 plus negative 60, 59. 2 times negative 30, so that's negative 28. 3 times negative 20, add together gives us negative 17. Here's our factor. So it'll be m plus 3n, m minus 20n. So I know this was a little bit longer video, but to kind of help you with this, I'm just going to use this last number just without the n attached with it. So m squared 17 60 squared then plus 18 squared. Let me change this. Squared so 18. Okay. So looking at your last term, if it is a negative, you will have a positive factor and a negative factor. And you know that because a positive times a negative gives us a negative. That's the only way we can have a negative term, is if we're multiplying things of the opposite sign, positive times a negative. Okay. The second term of your trinomial, if you have opposite factors, if you have a positive and negative factor, the sign on that second will go to the higher number. So in this case, we had positive 17, and we know the difference between the two was 20 minus 3. Negative 3 times 20 gives us negative 60. 20 minus 3 gives us positive 17, or 20 plus negative 3. Now, if your trinomial has a positive last term, it will either be negative factors or positive factors. To determine that, you need to look at the second term. If the second term is positive, then you know we'll be dealing with positive factors, because in order to get a positive product and a positive sum, we need to be multiplying positive values. If you have a negative second term, then you'll have both negative factors. And again, that makes sense because to have a positive product but a negative sum, they both need to be the same sign. They both need to be negative. So hopefully it helps. Please practice, ask questions, email me if you need any assistance. I'm here to help you. Please hope you're doing well. I miss y'all a lot, and I will talk to you later.